Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett.
And I'm Janice Baker.
Janice, you love dogs, don't you?
I do, yes I do. They're friendly, intelligent creatures, and we have some super intelligent dogs in this episode.
Well, I have another question. Do you know what happens to all of the information we fill out when we apply for a rewards card or join Facebook or any other of the communications platforms?
You will if you watch this episode.
She knows everything of our time.
Are you? No, stop it.
Pat me.
No, stop it. Are you nervous?
No.
Oh, good.
You're an animal lover.
I am.
I'm an animal lover. Mind you, I'm more of a cat person.
My dog's little.
Your dog is little. Janice is not really afraid, but
No.
we have some friends from the South Australian Police Force with us, and we'd like to welcome Senior Sergeant Kurt Newcombe.
Thanks very much for having me.
Yes, welcome.
Could you introduce that lovely creature next to you?
I assume you mean Marcus. Oh, no, sorry. This is Senior Constable Marcus Whitting, and the German Shepherd just next to him is police dog Zach.
Now, I guess all of us have seen police dogs on the police shows, finding people, chasing people, doing whatever needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But these dogs are specially bred for this purpose, are they?
They are, that's right. So we have a number of different programs that we use to get the best dogs. First and foremost, we have an internal breeding program, which we started last year.
And this is with trained dogs that you're internally breeding?
It is, that's right. So the sire of that litter particularly was one of our retired police dogs. And we also use a number of expert breeders who specifically breed dogs, the working line German Shepherd dogs for us.
So it doesn't work like the blind dogs, so you don't have people just normal people, I suppose, that actually raise these dogs from puppies. They, as a puppy, are trained right from the beginning.
That's exactly right.
Sort of like a racehorse, is that a
exactly? Exactly, it's a good analogy. So the dogs are bred, and we bring them in our program between 8 to 12 weeks of age, and from then we put them through their paces. So at a very young age, we can teach them things, the basics of what they'll be doing ultimately as a police dog in their career, like tracking and trailing and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And from there, we work up through a development program, which takes about 12 months, and ultimately at the end of that development program, we then put them onto a course, which they become general purpose police dogs.
Do they all behave? Do they all
behave?
Do you have any rejects?
We do have some rejects every now and again. Okay. We had one of our puppies didn't make the grade in terms of, it was just a drive thing with him. He much preferred to sit back and eat chips on the couch than actually go out and catch crooks. So
really, he was a home dog.
That's right. Exactly right. So he's now living as a pet.
So these dogs are what you just said. They're the people that are they're the dogs. Mind you, it's hard to think of a dog sometimes as a dog because they're as intelligent as some people.
Oh, well, some of our dogs are probably more intelligent than their handlers. If they could drive, they'd all be out of a job. But ultimately, yeah, that's right.
It's lucky he's laughing. And you can say that because you don't actually handle the job.
No, that's right. I'm a dog handler, so I look after all the handlers and the trainers as well.
You're the people looker after.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah.
So just getting back to the dog, beautiful specimen, looks fantastic, but you wouldn't really want to meet that dog if you'd done something wrong and you were running away.
Well, if he's at work, no, you certainly wouldn't, no. They're beautiful tempered dogs, as you can see. They've got a really great demeanour and a great nature.
Is that only with their handler though? No,
that's right. It depends on the environment, of course, that we take them into. The dogs know when they're at work and they know when they're performing certain tasks and functions. And if with these dogs, they have, I won't say an on-off switch, but they do know when they're given certain commands of what they need to do in response to those commands.
Yeah.
So most of the time the dogs are noisy like this
singing.
one.
No,
that's right. Yeah.
He's on TV, he just wants to sing.
Yeah.
That's right. But ultimately, when we do need them to go to work and do the job, most people wouldn't want to meet them.
Is it male or female dogs that work the best?
Oh, look, either or. We've got male and female dogs in our program, as do other jurisdictions around the country as well. So it's neither here nor there.
Okay. Now, with the breeding, is there special food that they get, or is it just really a normal dog's life?
It is very much a normal dog's life. Some dogs have certain dietary requirements based on, like human skin conditions or upset stomachs and those sorts of things. And yeah, so we feed the dogs the diets that they need. So at the moment they're on like a high protein dry food. That's predominantly what they get. Some dogs get some raw stuff thrown in there as well if that's what they need for their particular healthcare needs.
And the life of a police dog is how long? How long do you have them as a police dog?
We generally like to retire them between 7 and 8 years of age, and the reason we do that is because at that age they're still healthy, they're still in sort of good physical shape,
Yeah.
so we can retire them and they can live the rest of their retirement in the lap of luxury and quite healthy. The last thing we want to do is retire dogs that are breaking down and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
by that age they've still got, most German Shepherds will live to they're about between 10 and 13 years of age.
Yeah.
So it gives them a nice time just to wind down and enjoy the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I see.
Do they stay with their handler while they're a working dog?
They do, that's exactly right.
So you take him home?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But in retirement then, is that your dog?
Yep, he will become my dog, and he just lives his life, the rest of his life as a pet dog.
But you don't get another dog?
Yes,
As a,
yep.
Oh, you will? Okay.
So Marcus has just transitioned across from a drug dog,
Yeah.
and his drug dog we retired, and she's now living at home with him and his
okay.
family.
So you could end up with a whole menagerie. So with the dogs, it's really, they're not something to be afraid of unless you've done something wrong.
No, that's
That's a
right,
really
no.
important point to make, I think.
That's a really good point to make. So the reason we choose the German Shepherd dog is for a number of reasons, but the utility and the versatility of the dog suits our needs in the sense that Marcus can go out, he will catch an armed offender, and then get back in the car and drive to a kindergarten to give a school presentation. And the kids can come up and pat the dog and those sorts of things. So for us, that stability in temperament is paramount.
Yeah.
So how does he know who to chase?
Marcus just points him in the right direction and gives him a command.
Oh, okay.
And that's it.
He
Simple
doesn't
as
have
that.
to smell their clothes or any of those sorts of things?
It depends on the activity. So that,
Right.
I think what you're getting to is tracking and trailing. So
Yes.
if we don't know where the person is, Marcus can give Zach a command. He'll put his nose down and he'll follow the scent until he finds that person.
Okay.
I think Marcus is ready for a bowl of
I
water
think so
or a nibble of something.
It's done very well.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
I am.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Well, he is.
Wrong one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you, Marcus.
And oops, he's going the wrong way. And while that's happening, earlier we prepared a little stash of something
We did.
somewhere here in the studio.
So we have another dog.
Could you introduce our next two friends?
So
here?
this is Senior Constable Matt Raymond, and this is Police Dog Ellie. She's one of our
Ellie.
passive alert drug detection
Ellie's
dogs.
the dog.
Ellie's the dog. I've got that part. It's all right, duh. So before we started this, we hid something here in the studio, and we're really going to let Ellie just find it, just to show how clever she is.
So what she'll do now is she'll just sort of make her way around the studio and she air scents. So she's looking for odour in the air that is emanating from the source of what we planted
Right,
earlier.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the longer the item's there, the more that
Well, she found
odour
it.
emanates, and there she goes. So she just indicated.
Oh, wow.
And that's
She
it.
wants
It's
to
as easy
open
as
the
that.
door. Wow.
Oh, no, she made herself comfortable.
She's on the chair.
So she did her job and made herself at home. Good on her. Come back, Ellie. So as a sniffer dog, is that the right?
Yeah, we call them passive alert drug detection dogs. But
Sorry,
most
say that again slowly.
passive alert drug detection dogs.
Passive.
We call
alert.
them pad dogs, effectively.
Oh, pad
so,
dogs. Okay.
Yeah, that's
yes.
right.
So again, same thing. Does she live with you?
Yes.
And does she take any special care? I mean, the dog we just saw has got a really good nose, but these dogs have got an even better nose.
They do. That's right. So the olfactory system of the olfactory system is your
Smell.
sense receptors. The olfactory system of the Labrador is up there amongst the best of all dog breeds.
Is that right?
It's just amazing because she really didn't know where that was.
No,
'cause
that's
she hasn't
right.
been in the studio before. How often and where are you taking the dogs, and when do you know when you need to use a dog?
Well, our drug dogs are out every single day across every single shift, and they are doing things like during the day they might be doing training with their handler, very similar to what we saw here. So our handler will go into a new environment and plant some training aids down and coax the dog through trying to find them, and then from there they may do some searches supporting our patrols. Our CIB units are going into houses and businesses where illicit activity may be occurring. They can do music festivals. They go away and we support regional and rural communities a lot. So as we know, unfortunately, the ice epidemic that we're going through at the moment is not just
Terrifying.
it's just not just in metro area; it's also in the regional communities
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
we provide a lot of support to regional South Australia to help address that problem. They do music festivals, drug transit
What
routes.
do they play?
Depends.
Sorry.
Mostly lead vocals.
But oh, very good.
How many dogs are there? Like, how many Labradors do you have, and how many German Shepherds do you have?
So we have 12 German Shepherds and we have 9 Labradors plus our dogs in development as well. So all up we have about 26 dogs at the moment.
Oh, wow.
And they just sort of keep recycling, so to speak.
That's right. Yep.
You're always training. Does she need any special attention? Obviously, a reward after the event, I imagine.
That's right. Yeah.
So
So
they just eat normal food
They do,
that a normal
yep.
dog would eat.
Yep.
Just amazing.
They're beautiful dogs.
And again, if you're going through a music festival, for example, is it not a good idea to want to go and pat a dog?
we generally say no, unless the handler sort of encourages you to. Then while the dog's
and it's
working,
unlikely that would happen.
That's right. Yeah.
Because when they're working, they're working.
That's exactly right.
It's the same as what did you just say? A seeing eye dog.
Yes,
Like Rachel
blind.
Learcar's
Yes,
dog.
yes.
She's, she just does what.
People don't usually.
And you say, please don't touch her
No.
because
Yeah,
she's
that's right.
working.
That's
when
exactly
she's not
right.
working, she knows she's not working.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is it the collar that? How do they know they're working?
With our drug detection dogs, they're pretty much always working. Yeah, they never
Oh,
really
okay.
switch off. So yeah, even in retirement, sometimes our dogs that are retired will be wandering through a park and be indicating. So yeah, it does happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Guys, thank you very much.
No,
Ellie,
pleasure.
thank you very much. Over here, Ellie. I'm over here. I'm over here. Thank you very much for being on our program. Thank you very much, guys, for coming in.
Thanks
we're
for
having
having
us. Our pleasure.
We're having a regular chat to the. So, how much information do you want to give the public about you?
I'm still getting over the dogs.
Well,
No, I know. They were fantastic.
lucky you had clean
anyway.
undies on, that's all I can say.
No, they weren't that scary. How much information? Now, see, this is it. You think you're doing the right thing. You're asked to give this information, so you do. You just do it.
You just do, because it's there.
But how can you then stop it if you need to?
Well, and it's everything. It's from the cards that you have from the major supermarkets, and you flash them because you think you're going to get some money back. So, to help us unravel this little confusion, Collette Snowden, who's a UniSA lecturer, is joining us. Hello, Collette.
Hello there.
I call it.
Collette, is it scary? Are we entering an area where we're all losing our privacy?
I think we've already entered that
happened.
era. I mean, it's quite some time that the CEO of Sun Systems, which was a big computer company, said the people should just get over it. You have no privacy, and it's something that's not just associated with the development of the internet. It's been coming for a long time. You know, since people started keeping records about their customers, and
Yep.
we just have more sophisticated means to do it now.
So, Facebook is obviously something that in the past few months has been under a lot of investigation.
Yeah.
With that company in England that has sort of caused all that.
Yeah.
What's the name of that company?
Cambridge Analytica.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you said that because my teeth would have fallen out otherwise. So what did they do wrong?
Well, what they did was they used different methods of collecting information and put them together in a new way to generate information that then allowed them to target political messages very precisely. So what they did is they began by doing a survey of people and identifying what certain types of people were interested in. And then they did what is called semantic analysis. So they looked at all of the posts that these people liked, what kinds of messages they liked, the language that they used, the words that they used, the topics that they were interested in. So then they had two lots of information. They had demographic information and semantic information. And then they put that together, and then they aggregated that across a much wider group of people and started sending targeted information. So, for example, if Janice had put dogs in, she liked pictures of police dogs or something like that, all of a sudden she would start getting more messages, more an algorithm, which is the mathematical equation that directs the information to Janice's account, would have started sending more. If someone else was posting pictures of police dogs in Poland or Japan, they'd suddenly
come through to me.
come
Yes.
through to you.
And when you say they, it's not really a they as in a
No.
person, it's just really a computer.
It is, but remember, a computer is just a tool that
That they have used.
They have used.
So is Big Brother really here?
I think Big Brother's been here for a while, and the biggest weapon we have against Big Brother is our own mind, you know, and understanding how it works, and either ignoring it or finding ways around it.
So when you, as you say, if I did start to get these, this coming through about dogs, can I just not delete it or hide it to get rid of it so it stops coming through?
Yeah, that would happen, because then you would start to, your profile would change.
Yeah.
So whatever you like or dislike or ignore creates a profile that a social media company, a corporation, someone with the computing power to do the analysis can then
Change it.
change it. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to have the things that you're interested pushed to you.
I think though, when you just constantly get, like today for example, I would have got rid of probably 60 Facebook messages that I really had no interest in whatsoever, because Facebook knows that I'm interested in anything to do with show business.
Yeah.
So they're all reviews of shows, or something's coming up or whatever, and it all just comes in. But in all of this privacy, are we afraid? Let me go for a different direction. Are any of us really? Do we really have that much to hide? That's probably what I'm trying to say.
Well, only individuals would know. I think, from my perspective, I think the issue is when people criticise Facebook, I kind of think, well, you never get anything for free.
True.
You never, you know, what did you think you were? How could they provide a global communication system that serves 3 billion people and there not be a business model for it? So we were anyone who signed up for a Facebook account was entering a contract where they were selling their information.
Well, he may have started it with a free connection in mind, but of course that can't be sustained.
No,
because people have to work on it and people have to earn money.
Yeah.
So we need to think of the practical side as well.
That's right. They've got programmers, they've got an administration, they've got designers, they've got a whole infrastructure to support the only way they can do that. And what was the only commodity that they have is the information that the users have provided.
Which they can on-sell.
Yeah, that's right. So I think reward cards are perhaps in some ways more insidious, because they pretend that they're giving you a reward in exchange for your information.
And the reward is often that you get from, say, the the different supermarket shopping chains, that you get the specials each week. I think every 2 days I get from one of the chains whatever the specials are based on what I've bought there already. To say, oh, this is on special this week, you bought that last week, sort of thing. I find that extraordinary, because the information that has to be in those computers is mind-boggling, considering there are millions of people shopping in those shops all over.
Yeah, and what happens then too, like one of my boys has gone off Facebook, but there's still all that information that they have of his.
Yeah.
And that's not going anywhere, is it?
Well, I mean, I think that's true for anything that's on the internet is there.
Yeah.
It's frightening that it's there forever, though, isn't it? That's
Well, that's it. So you press delete, but it's still
no. But
hasn't
what
got-
happens when somebody's deceased? What happens to all that information about them?
Well, it's still there.
There's nobody sort of taking that down.
No.
Like you sell your house, you sell or
There is
possessions are sold.
There are services where you can you can sign up so that when you die, all of that stuff will
Is
be
deleted.
turned off or stored or downloaded for your family or whatever. So the European Union passed a law where people had the right to be forgotten and the right to have all that information deleted.
It's sort of like euthanasia when you think about it. When you think about it.
Well, but also remember this is all very new. Facebook
Yes, of course.
was really only 2006.
Yes.
And so people who signed up for it when they were 12 in 2006, they're 24 now. They're in a different phase of their life. People who were 20 then are now in their early 30s. They might have had life-transforming experiences that essentially make them different people. Some people want to be able to delete their past.
Well, I must admit, when employing people, I tend to look at, and I know that most companies do, you look at their Facebook page to see what they're writing about, what their likes are, what their background is, how much they've put up about themselves.
If it's public, yeah.
Yeah, well,
And you know that's one thing that people can do, and that Facebook have done recently is tighten the privacy settings.
Yes, I've noticed that has changed. So it sort of brings us to the conclusion, though, that how did you get involved in this initially?
Well, I mean, I've always worked in communication and media. Everything about communication and human beings fascinates me. Every aspect of it, from interpersonal communication to mass communication and propaganda. And in the late 1990s, I was working as a journalist, and I did a story with a guy who told me that he was getting information overnight from being translated from Sweden. And I thought it was really, I didn't know about it. And so I started getting interested in the internet and wireless communication.
And it rolled on.
Yeah, and it
We've got
rolled
to take
on.
a break, but we'll be back with
Yeah.
Collette in just a moment to find out a little more.
And we're back with Collette, talking about Facebook and the internet and all the scary stuff, really.
Well, we don't want to frighten people, because people often say, that they don't like us talking about the fact we're on Facebook. But for us, it's a great way to let people know who's on the program each week. So we put a post up each week to let people know. We've got quite a lot of followers, and hopefully they watch everybody, and hopefully they'll watch you, because they'll find out a little bit more about things they don't know. But are we living in a world where we should be afraid of it, or are we living in a world that this is the same as having a street address?
I don't think it's quite the same, because when you go inside your house, you have privacy. What we should be aware of is how it's developing, and we should be insisting that there's proper oversight and regulation and protection for individual privacy.
So things will have to change, won't they? I mean, it is a changing thing, obviously, constantly.
Well, it's so new.
As you
No one
say,
knows where it's gonna go.
2006, what's going to happen, in another 6 years or
Exactly.
so? What's...
And will another platform come up that actually solves the problems
Yeah.
that this has created,
Yeah.
that's safer to go on? And I guess if I'd invented something like this, that I could, but if I'd invented something like this, you would do it because you think it's the best thing to do, but at the same time you don't think what's going to happen to this 10 years down the track and how that's going to morph because I've got people that are going to rely for their livelihood on what I'm doing. Collette, thank you for joining us. It's been really interesting to meet you. I'd love to talk to you again. I think there are lots of other areas we could discuss, but a final message, it's don't be afraid, be careful.
Yeah.
Is that the best
and
thing?
check your privacy settings. Or get your grandchildren to do it.
Yes,
I
exactly.
was going to say, I'll get my son to do that.
Thanks for being part of our time. It was great to have the police dogs.
Yes.
And they were
They
lovely.
were so well behaved.
They were lovely, lovely animals.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you next time. So please keep yourself nice till
Till
then.
then, take care.
Bye.